Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? This is All Around Advanced, episode number 7. We have made it all the way here. I am, of course, your host, Terry, and I am joined today by Cadet of St. Jude's. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing good. Can you believe it, Cadet? We are on week 7 of season 5,
I
you know?
know it's
We're, it's
gone by.
almost it's almost done.
It's gone by really fast. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, so I mean, 2 more weeks of the regular season ahead of us, 4 more matches to go. These playoff spots are gonna get sealed up soon. Um, Perhaps, how soon we've yet to see exactly. But we're here. We're gonna talk about some stuff. I'm gonna fiddle with my setup, make sure I get everything correct. We are back on the advanced screen. We can take a look at the standings now, as per usual, I guess. Cat Posse and Honey Bacon Club have continued to maintain their stranglehold on the top 2 spots of the division, both of them sitting at 11 and 1. And, for the final 4 matches, it's going to be kind of like a race between those 2 teams to see who beefs and gives up a couple of extra rounds that they shouldn't have. And then, it's Cat Posse's, number 1 seed to lose, and then Honey Bacon are going to do their damnedest to try and catch up and maybe snag it and steal it from under their noses. But then outside of that, everybody else is again still in the mix. Dior Addicts at 8 and 4, a whole slew of 7 and 5 teams, a whole slew of 6 and 6 teams, and as you can see right now, your team, St. Jude's, 6 and 6, but in possession of the number 8 spot right now. So if the season ended today, you guys would be making playoffs, which again just goes to show how competitive it's been. How are you feeling about your squad thus far? Give me some thoughts.
Feeling pretty good. We do have some tough matches coming up this week. The Cat Posse and Honey Bacon. But maybe if we get some rounds or if we get an upset, we can keep our position, and maybe next week we'll get some easier matchups.
Yeah, no doubt those games are going to be very crucial, and yeah, we'll talk about your guys' specific clear cut week a little bit later. But some more roster news, the usual type of stuff. First of all, let us rest in peace Romney 5 for the second time in 2 weeks, because they died, but then they came back with a new lineup, and then they died again. So unfortunate, but they are officially dead once more. I guess the big news from this is that the bye week comes into effect again, because previously, with Romney 5 dying the first time, there was an odd number of teams, so we needed a bye week, but then they came back, so then bye week was no longer needed, and now they're dead again, so now we have, dude, the bye week, it's a pest. He won't go away. He's too
I know.
powerful, man. Cannot be vanquished by the likes of advanced players. Some teams are going to find, clear cut and process week. They'll find a bye waiting for them, which can or cannot help, because a win is certainly nice, but what's better than a win is also getting some rounds, and with a bye week you only get one. So we'll see how the ever shifting landscape of the division and the return of bye week will cause, what kind of havoc it'll cause for the playoffs. But elsewhere, we had some news. First off, Honey Bacon Club, speaking of them, they are going to be without Dit, who has departed the squad, and from sources, aka Rasa Ronald, an artist, I'm being told that the one and only Kutch Kutch is back. So he will be reprising and returning to his very familiar role on the team with his boys, and looking to make a playoff run. And then out elsewhere, excuse me, Monkeys at Mid also lost Owib, who posted on the forums that he would be taking the rest of the season off to focus on school, so I wish him luck there. But in his absence, they have moved Caboose back to Scout, which is what they had during week number 1 of the season, and then Knockers has joined them on Soldier as well. And then the more, I guess, controversial news this week in terms of roster updates is Portland Burnsiders' very own Yerb, the team captain, or one of the team captains, got suspended for saying haha funny words. So Kylorfo has told me that they will be using Della as a stand-in until his ban lifts in 2 weeks. So assuming that this team, the Burnsiders, end up making playoffs, Yerb will be back for playoffs, but they will be without him for a clear cut and process week. And that is all the roster news. Let's talk about some of the matches from last week here. Let's start with the big one. Honey Bacon Club versus Watch This, because that game was crazy. I don't know if you know the details, Mr. Cadet, but it was a 5-4 game. At one point, Watch This were up 4-1 on the scoreboard, and further down, they were up 4-3 with 3 minutes left on the clock. They were holding Honey Bacon second, so they were attacking last, and then in the span of 3 minutes or maybe even less than that, they lost 2 rounds. I think Honey Bacon capped with maybe 1 second left on the clock, and then they blew it, which is unfortunate. But
Yeah, sounds like Choklahoma City.
yeah, that was a rough game to watch back, because again that would have been a huge win for the Watch This crew, right? Like they're again one of
Mm-hmm.
the teams, one of the many teams that are fighting for a spot. Talk about my boy Luddy. I'm sorry, but Luddy is not in advance this season. Maybe next season. No, he's probably gonna play invite, dude. We aren't gonna talk about Luddy in advance. We talking about these. We talking about this. Watch This Honey Bacon game. But I mean, I'm looking at these stats and just goddamn, man. Artist 35-7.
Sheesh.
Sheesh. 300 DPM for a whole hour. He's just. I don't know. I feel like he's just found something that
That
makes him so goddamn powerful compared to like all the other demos in the division. He just constantly puts in these numbers.
crazy thing is that he only has 192 DTM as well.
Yeah, I think a couple of mid fights I saw during this match, like 11 players died in the server, and you can guess who the one remaining player was. It was Artist himself. So, oh, we got Boolean flags in the chat. Now the people are starting to come in. What's up, everybody? But yeah, so this a tough loss for Watch This to be sure. They could have had it. That would have been probably huge, because I think they're right now they are like 5-7, so that would have evened their record out. Yeah, so they could have been 6-6, and with a big dub over Honey Bacon Club as well. But as it stands, of course, they're gonna have to move on. It happened, and then next up, we have the Air team versus the team. This was a 5-4 game as well, so two very very close 5-4s. This one went to Golden Cap, and it also had Fig getting a 8K, I think, in the middle of the Golden Cap, and actually there was a point where Fig got all 6 kills by themselves, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
indeed. I didn't watch this one back, so I'm not quite too sure what happened, but 8K sounds like a round winning play right there.
yeah, that there was a plethora of like huge soldier plays, because one point I buy WinRAR was set up on match point, pushing last, and then Tresh got a triple kill with one rocket after bombing balcony and got the team off of last, and they converted that round, forced the tie, forced the golden cap, yada yada. But then Fig just came right back, got 6 kills on one fight on second. It was crazy. So I by WinRAR still has to play the remaining Gully Wash game tonight against the Goblin Zone. We're gonna talk about that a little bit, maybe in the previews, I suppose, even though it's not clear cut week. But I will be casting that at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. So if y'all aren't scrimming, tune in, because that should be one hell of a game, and it's a really important game as well, as we'll talk about playoff scenarios a little bit later. And then a couple other games to kind of gloss over. Speaking of Goblin Zone, they did play the Burnsiders for their first Gully Wash game, and it was a 5-2. I didn't get to see this match, but these stats are a little bit bizarre. I mean, like, Hedge went 10-10 with 200 DPM. It was a 5-2. Waldo went 9-17. Like, not a lot of crazy stats are jumping out at you, so I'm assuming it was just a lot of mid to lasts. And yeah, you can see
Yeah.
here minute 30 on the round, minute 58, minute 30 again. So seems like even despite a lot of pyro still, Hedge's team gets it done. Hedge team, pyro team on Gully Wash, it's pretty good. Oh, Det's
Yeah,
here too. Oh, maybe Det can shed some light on this situation. Det, you want to talk about? I know you lost, but you want to tell me something that happened in this match, because it looks kind of weird, right? It doesn't look like your stereotypical type of 5-2 game, even though it is just kind of gully. Det says our mids were ass, and looking at the logs, it says they won 2 mid fights out of 7. So that's certainly not ideal.
yeah. Goblin Zone does look to play pretty chaotic. Their soldiers like to I know Tomato Tom has a fast rollout many a times in
Oh yeah.
my demo. So yeah. So if if you get a little caught off guard or you can't adjust the mids, they can definitely be a team that just ends up rolling you.
All right, so and then the other one that I have pinned here, I mean the stat line doesn't look that exciting. It was a 5-0, but it was between two very solid teams. Obviously, again, Burnsiders make another appearance. Had a rough gully wash week, but hey, there's still again 4 more matches in the season. No reason to be concerned at all. I guess you should be concerned about Europe saying slurs, but this was a 5-0 loss to the Dior Addicts. Again, both these teams in the top half, top quarter, perhaps even of the division right now. So another tough gully loss, and looks like Det's mid woes were continuing to happen on this map. Only winning 1 mid out of 5, but it is what it is, and that was pretty much all it for Gully Wash Week. Again, the last match of Gully, which is iBuy Winrar versus Goblin Zone, is happening tonight at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. Blanc TV will be making its Season 5 debut. I'll be covering it. Perhaps Tony B is going to join me, I think. I don't know. But regardless, if you're not scrimming, tune in. That's going to be a really good match. And again, a lot of playoff implications as we move further down the line. But now we're on Clear Cut Week. This map has been in RGL since Season 1. I don't think it was ever played in ESEA. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But look at these matches, Cadet. What is drawing your attention here when you're looking at this?
I think Dior Addicts versus Goblin Zone. I think that'll be definitely an interesting watch. Two of the top teams duking it out. Uh, Gaming versus Blanc Esports. I think that's definitely gonna be one of the premier matches you wanna pay attention to this week. Both teams 7 and 5. Losing here could mean you fall out of playoffs very quickly. And lastly, I think Dynasty by versus I by WinRAR. I believe both these teams are pretty close to making playoffs. I think either of these teams, if they win out, they could possibly make playoffs. So that's definitely another one to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, so I mean, again, we're in that really critical crunch time part of the season. Any dub that you get, honestly, any round that you get is going to be ever pivotal to your potential playoff dreams in advance for Season 5. I'm going to definitely echo what you said about Dior Addicts versus Goblin Zone. If we looked at the standings again, both those teams right now are number 3 and number 5. And Hedge's team, let's say if they win tonight, they would jump into number 4 as well by virtue of their record. So that's going to be a very, very important game. And if you're on the cusp of playoffs, with the plethora of teams that we have here, like it's gonna be very important to scoreboard watch, because the rounds that filter through are gonna help or hinder your team. Another match that I would bring attention to, I believe you've covered a lot of the good ones. The only other one I really want to bring attention to is Lobsters.tf versus Monkeys at Mid, because now we're going to talk about elimination scenarios, because like I said, this div has been super, super close all season long. However, we're now at the critical point of the season. These 5 teams right here, watch this: Lobsters, Feet Picks, Monkeys at Mid, and Predatory Lending Practices, aka the Box Tap. These 5 teams are 5 and 7, and I just think that if they lose one more game, I think that's, they might not be mathematically eliminated, but realistically, I think if you end up with 8 in the loss column, playoffs is probably too far out of reach. So this is a super, super important week for these 5 teams in particular. And then we have like a little bit of a breakdown. For example, Watch This is going to play the team and Dynasty, which, 2 very, very solid teams. Lobsters is playing Monkeys at Mid versus Goblins, and Goblin Zone. Feet Picks is perhaps the best off out of these 5, because they are the benefactor of a bye week, which, it won't get them rounds, but it'll keep them, it'll give them a dub. And then they're going to be facing off against Gaming as well. So you never know what the Highlander players are going to do on a King of the Hill map. I'm King of the Hill yet, but maybe they've got something spicy planned, and you never know what they'll bring out, especially with soldiers like Panther and Consume as well.
Yeah, for sure. I heard this team likes to run spy a lot, but didn't get to witness that last week. But according to my sources, they do like to run spy quite a bit, even when it doesn't really make that much sense.
Okay, so a little bit of espionage on the table for Clear Cut Week. It is a much wider map, which I guess has both pros and cons in terms of the spy plays. But what do I know? I don't play spy. And then last but not least, of course, box tap. Oh, I glanced over Monkeys at Mid as well. Sorry, Monkeys at Mid is going to play Lobster, so that's why I said Lobsters.tf versus Monkeys at Mid this week is going to be a very, very important match. Because if either of these teams want to keep their playoff hopes alive, they got to get a dub, especially against the other. They would essentially guarantee their own playoff survival for now while eliminating a competitor, which would be huge. So I think that is a very, very important match. You'll have Oni going up against Zebra in the Demo Man classes. That'll be a sight to behold as well. And for Monkeys at Mid, I mean, let's be real, their other opponent for Clear Cut Week is Cat Posse. So you gotta beat Lobsters to try and give yourselves a chance, I think. Because unless they got the craziest clear cut strats, I don't think that they are gonna beat the Shining Star team. I think you might agree with me on that one.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And then Box Tap will yes, Oib left Monkeys at mid. We talked about this a little bit earlier. They have Kanakers in on Soldier to shift players around. Caboose is back on Scout. So actually, let's see how they did. How did they do on Gully Wash Week? Let's find out. Let's do a little extra digging. They had to play Honey Bacon Club, which they lost 5-0, and then they had to play Gaming, and they lost 5-2. So obviously rough Gully Week, and then like I said, this game against Lobsters.tf is very, very important for both sides. And then to wrap up the potentially eliminated teams, we have Predatory Lending Practices, aka the Box Tap, aka Wing Bacon's team, aka the Power Rankings extraordinaire. This team has to play Portland Burnsiders and Dior Addicts. Certainly not an easy task. And I don't know. I feel like this team has always kind of, so going back to last season. I know you didn't play them last season, but I scrimmed them a fair amount. Like I feel like this team has always struggled a bit on King of the Hill, so that kind of looks like a bad omen. But maybe they'll figure something out. Maybe Lucrative can put a game plan together and secure a couple of upsets this week or something like that. So now that we've talked about these 5 teams, we're gonna do a little, we're gonna play a little game, a little positivity, a little negativity. Cadet, I want you to pick one of these teams that you think is gonna walk away eliminated, and then I want you to pick a team that's gonna walk away still surviving, still in that playoff hunt.
Which teams?
So we got Watch This, got Lobsters.tf, Feet Picks, Monkeys at Mid, and then Predatory Lending Practices. On the cheat sheet, I gave you, it has all their opponents this week as well, so you can take a look at that.
Let me take a look real quick. Okay, I think one team to eliminate is no offense to my homies at Lobsters, but I think you guys might be getting eliminated this week because you guys do have a pretty hard schedule and you guys are 5-7. But hopefully you guys prove me wrong. And then one team to stay in it, I think is probably Watch This. They do have some pretty good matches or match results against some of the top teams, so I think they might be able to pull off some rounds this week and hopefully get to even.
Tristan in the chat saying SMH. Hey, I mean, he's just, don't shoot the messenger. He's just playing the game. I'm delivering these, making him pick the hard decisions here. But yeah, if you had me do this, I mean, I'm just gonna have to go with like the easy out, which is Monkeys at Mid, just because they have to play Cat Posse, and that's gonna be an L. Unless the craziest shit happens. I'm for being proven wrong. That's the beauty of our game, and all this discussion about teams and all the power ranking shit that you see in the forums is just like, these are just people's opinions, man. You go out there, you frag out, you play hard, you get a dub, you get an upset win, and you shut people right the hell up. And that's what's great about games and honestly life in general. You people talk shit, you say, well, watch this. I'm gonna do something good. I'm gonna do something beast, and you turn it right around in their face. But yeah, if I had to pick a team to eliminate, I think it's gonna be Monkeys at mid, even if they win against Lobsters. And honestly, if you made me pick that match right now, I think Lobsters have the better angle in that matchup specifically. But even if Monkeys defeats Lobsters, I feel like they're just going to lose to Cat Posse. That'll put them at 8 wins. And again, realistically speaking, that's not going to be able to get them in the playoffs. And then on the opposite end, I think I gotta mirror your watch this pick because yeah, they are playing two tough teams. But perhaps at this point, when you're fighting for survival, it's not even about winning; it's about taking rounds off the board. And Watch This have shown that they have competed with some of the best teams. Barely losing to Honey Bacon Club, and having other close games as well. Week 1 of the season, they lost 5-3 to I by WinRAR. They beat Goblin Zone 5-2. When the Goblin Zone was still figuring stuff out for their squad and what they wanted to do. A 4-2 loss to Gaming on Viaduct, a 4-2 loss to Feet Picks on Viaduct. So I think their ability to stay in these contests is going to really, really help them, even if they go 0-2 this week. But that is pretty much it. What are we talking about in the chat here? We are pretty good at clear cut, says KTB. I think you guys are pretty good at a couple of maps. Might just not be clear cut, honestly. But yes, Boolean Flags. I by WinRAR is playing the Goblin Zone tonight, and I will be casting that on my channel, so make sure you tune into that. Yeah, first Terry cast of the season. And agreed with Det on saying, is there any map you're not good at? Cat Posse, they're the team to beat right now. So, despite the upset loss to the Goblin Zone. And then we got Dan, BattleBots champion, in the chat saying this team wins on the style points of Quickie Bomb Launcher. So yeah, maybe Asterisk will. Well, I don't know if Quickie Bomb is the right play on King of the Hill. Did he run that on Viaduct? I don't know. I don't remember if I watched this team's games or not. I don't remember if I scrimmed this team or not on Viaduct week. But I feel like Quickie Bomb is not the play on King of the Hill, considering you need all of your stickies. But alright, well, I mean, that's pretty much it for all the topics that we had lined up on the docket today. Again, it's still a bloodbath out there, so, focus up, study hard this week on Clear Cut. This map is, it's pretty good. You know what, Cadet? What do you think about Clear Cut? What do you think about Clear Cut?
Well, it's definitely the best Koth map out there, for sure. I haven't played too much Bagel, so I can't say too much about that. But I definitely like it way more than Product, because it's easier for soldiers to do stuff.
A little more fair.
Yeah, I heard some people don't get good FPS, but I personally never had that problem.
Yeah,
So
it's just very inconsistent. And again, anyone that has tuned into any of my streams over the weeks discussing maps and watching matches is like, I'm fine with Clear Cut as a map, how it flows, the geometry or whatever. That's all fine and dandy. However, it doesn't give good FPS to everybody, and that's not what makes a map that doesn't help a map's cause, right? So,
yeah,
if the map maker, are we using the same version this season as the last season? Actually, that's a good question.
I think there was a new version where they made a change that supposedly gives you more frames, but I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, so this season we are using Clearcut B15D, and I don't think we played that version last season. I can just double check really quick by going to my history. If the RGL site ever decides to load, thank you very much. Last season we played B15C. Okay, so yeah, it was in fact not the same version. I'll have to check that out, see what kind of other changes it may have. But I know Clear Cut has already been played this season in Invite, for example, so clearly not too big of changes. Yo, 1K winnings, let's go! Yeah, the RGL profits is very funny. My favorite is Seeds, who recently joined an Invite squad. He has RGL career earnings of like $17.50, I think. Hold on, I want to bring it up because it's funny. Where is he? There he is. Look at this man. This man is so rich. That's
OMG.
that's the good stuff right there. But like I said, we covered everything in a swift and simple fashion. I would like to say once again that this season of Advanced has been absolutely crazy, and it's been a pleasure and honor to keep competing with y'all. Heading into Clear Cut Week, best of luck. If you're one of those teams that is on the outside looking in, again, do not fear, do not fret, do not get down. You can get right back into the swing of things with a couple of wins, a couple of rounds, a handful of rounds, and you never know. You really just never know. Until we head into process week and it becomes just a little bit more clear, we can sift through the fog of advanced and say, like, okay, well, who's actually has a chance and who's probably eliminated? Keep fighting. Keep fighting. That's all I can say. But that'll be it for us today at All Around Advanced. Cadet, why don't you give some shout outs, tell the people where to find you, spread the good word, my friend.
Yeah, so shout out to Tristan and Do It. They're my homies. Shout out to Lobsters. Shout out to Owen, Golden, and Fuscor. Those are my homies from way back when. They're still my homies. And shout out to Europe for getting himself banned during the most crucial time of the season.
Yep, I would like to point fingers and laugh because I don't know how you've seen RGL's track record and then in week 6 decide, yeah, this is a good time to yell some slurs and haha funny words in the chat. So big SMH there, big laughs. But thank you, Mr. Cadet, for coming
I
on.
got one more shout out. Shout out to my team and Denisovich. I just want to say he's a mini artist. That's all I'm gonna say.
A mini artist. That is some good praise to heap onto your team's demo man. Might just be the confidence that he needs to boost his game to the next level for some upset wins this week. But we'll have to wait and see. You guys have a tall order ahead of you. Cat Posse and Honey Bacon Club. We'll have to find out by this time next week. We'll see what St. Jude's can bring to the table. Surprised you didn't shout out your very own father, Space Cadet HX, for giving you this life and bringing you into the world. But all jokes aside, thanks for coming on today, Cadet. Pleasure to have you. Good luck this week. And for those of you in the chat, like I said, I'll be live in another 2 hours when I cast Goblin Zone versus I by Winrar. That is a very critical match, and I can't wait to commentate Waldo Pyro and Tomato Tom's Omega Fast rollouts and all the other bullshit that might happen. But anyway, thanks for stopping by, everybody, and I'll see you next time /tonight. Have a good one.